Noninkables. Hi everybody, I wanted to make a video about the most popular cards that I've seen played for each color so far. I've been playing a ton online, I would say way more than usual, and these cards keep coming up, so I think these are the ones that you should be watching out for and considering when building your decks and also when playing against these decks. So the first of the amber cards that I've seen played a lot is this Ariel Ethereal Voice. She's a 4-cost inkable card, 3/4 stats, quest for 2. She is one of the new Whispers, so a boost card. So you can pay 1 ink, and once during your turn, you can pay 1 ink to put the top card of your deck face down under this character. And she has the ability Command Performance. Once during your turn, whenever you play a song, if there's a card under this character, you may draw a card. So kind of Amber's way of getting some card draw. Because she is 3/4, she's pretty easy to banish if you're playing he hurled his Thunderbolt, and now with all the crazy statted other characters, I think if she's the one singing, it's pretty easy to challenge her and take her out with one of your characters by the point that she can be played and also sing. But if they keep her upright to protect her and have other characters sing, then you'll need direct removal. Another one I've seen is this Mowgli card. So 2-cost inkable card, 1/2 Mowgli Man Cub, has the ability Have a Better Look. When you play this character, chosen opponent reveals their hand and discards a non-character card of their choice. So having the same effect as Bare Necessities, just now it's on a body. And then the last amber card that I've seen a lot of is this Mickey Mouse Amber Champion. So he is a 4-cost 2/5. Quest for 1 has the 2 abilities. One is Leading the Way. Your other amber characters get +2 willpower. So working kind of like a Rapunzel's tower on all your other characters. And the other one is Friendly Chorus. While you have 2 or more amber characters in play, this character gains Singer 8. So this allows your other characters to sing things like Look at This Family on their own or Circle of Life. Now moving on to Amethyst, a lot of people are playing Demona, but they're playing this Demona. So the 6-drop Demona, not to be confused with the 4-drop Demona. I haven't actually seen anyone play that one. So this 6-drop Demona is a 6-drop inkable 5/6, so pretty well statted, quest for 2. She has 2 abilities. So one is the standard gargoyle ability, Stone by Day. If you have 3 or more cards in your hand, this character can't ready. And the other one is Ad Saxum Commutate. When you play this character, exert all opposing characters, which works similar to there is an Anna card that I think is either Amethyst or is in Blurple that exerts all opposing characters. But that card is 7 costs and uninkable. So when you play this character, exert all opposing characters, then each player with fewer than 3 cards in their hand draws until they have 3. And so if your opponent has less than 3 cards, kind of giving them some cards, which may be a disadvantage. And then also the Stone by Day, I think that ability is very easily targeted by the green decks. They can just play You're Welcome to add cards to your hand, or Mother Knows Best to bounce cards back to your hand, and then she effectively cannot ready. Obviously, when you play her, she's already readied, so it won't affect her the turn you play her, but just be aware that if she's in your deck and you are questing or singing or challenging, and you're going against green, they may have a way to make it so that she can't ready and can't do anything on the next turn. The other Amethyst card I'm seeing a lot of is this Hades, which is one of the new iconics. This is not the iconic version. So he is a 5-cost inkable card, 3/4, and has the ability, What'd You Say? When you play this character, you may choose an opposing character. If you do, draw 2 cards unless that character's player puts that card on the bottom of their deck. So either you can use it as like basically a targeted Dragonfire, except it goes into their deck instead of into the discard pile, or you basically get friends on the other side with a pretty good body, 3/4. And so far when I've played against this, there hasn't been, I mean, they always target your stronger cards. And so the only time I think I would choose to let them put the character on the bottom of my deck and not let them draw cards is if I know they have like no cards and their only option is to put something like a Tipo or a Mulan or some like baby character to the bottom. Then I think I would choose putting the character to the bottom. Otherwise, it's almost always a better choice to just let them draw 2 cards. Another one I've seen is this Cheshire Cat, Inexplicable. So 3-cost inkable card, 3/4, is a Whisper, so has a boost ability. It costs 2 ink to boost this card. And he has the ability, it's loads of fun. Whenever you put a card under this character, you may move up to 2 damage counters from chosen character to chosen opposing character. And so it kind of changes your math on how you want to play around things. And I feel like it's making me do way more calculations. I think an honorable mention in the Amethyst category is this Junior Woodchuck Guidebook. So 2-cost item and has the ability, the book knows everything. So you can exert this card, pay 1 ink, banish this item, draw 2 cards. So essentially it costs 3 ink total to draw 2 cards. So like basically a 3 ink, same price as Friends on the other side, but it's not a song, so you can't sing it. So that is it for Amethyst. Let's move on to Emerald. Emerald, I'm seeing a lot of this Webby Vanderquack, but I think it's mainly so that people can play the shift. Because this Webby is just a 1-cost, 1/2. When you play this chosen character, it gets +1 strength this turn. I haven't seen that ability come into effect very often, but if you play her on 1, on 2, you can shift to this Webby Vanderquack, Junior Prospector. And this Webby is a force to be reckoned with. So she is a 4-cost, 2/4, quest for 2, but has ward. So it becomes very hard to deal with on turn 2. And has the ability Work Smarter. Whenever this character quests, if an opponent has more cards in their inkwell than you, you may put the top card of your deck into your inkwell face down and exerted. So I think a card that maybe has sort of a similar effect would be the Hey Hey Bumbling Rooster, where if your opponent has more ink than you, when you play him, you get to ink a card. But this is like every time when this character quests. So very good into ramp decks that are ramping, so they probably will have more ink than you, and you can just have her quest, and that'll ink the card. And because she has ward, she can't be hit by things like He Hurled His Thunderbolt or Strength of a Raging Fire. She has to be challenged, and it's very hard to challenge something with 4 strength on turn 2, as many people know from dealing with Daisy Duck. These ducks, man. So she's one that I've seen played a lot. Another card I've seen played is this Flynn Rider. So 1-cost inkable card, 1/2, has quest for 1 and has boost 2. So you could potentially play him on 1 and boost him on 2, and has the ability I'll take that. When there's a card under this character, he gets +2 strength and +1 lore. So he quests for 2 and becomes a 3/2. And then another card which probably everyone expected to be played a lot is Malicious, Mean, and Scary. 3-cost inkable card. It's an action song, and it puts 1 damage counter on each opposing character. So this is usually played in a deck with Prince Philip. So there is a 3-cost Prince Philip with ward, 3/2 quest for 2, who can sing it, and then you can shift that Prince Philip for 6 to the Big Prince Philip, which is a normally 9-cost character. It's evasive. It has 6/6 stats and quest for 3, and has the ability banish all damaged characters. And so basically you have your 3-cost warded Prince Philip. You play him on 3, you play him whenever, but he can't be targeted because he has ward. I think the only way they would be able to get rid of him is if they played like 2 Tinkerbells in a row, Tinkerbell Giant Fairy. And then he sings this, puts a damage on all of their characters. You shift it to the big Prince Philip, and you've basically cleared their entire board. And the thing with this is it's put 1 damage count on each opposing character, not deal 1 damage. So it gets around things like resist. And it doesn't matter how much willpower the opposing characters have. As long as they're damaged, that shift Prince Philip will get rid of them. Honorable mention is Finnick. 1 cost character, 1/2. Tiny Terror has the ability You Better Run. When you play this character, you may pay 2 ink to return chosen opposing character with 2 strength or less to their player's hand. So kind of like a mini Under the Seas on one thing. And that is it for Emerald. In Ruby, I've seen a lot of this Diablo. 2 cost, uninkable card, 3/3 quests for 2. So a very well statted 2 cost. So kind of a theme, I think, in red and steel this set is that everything is very buff. So previously, the other 3/3s we've seen were like Madam Mim's Snake, which was a 3/3, but you had to bounce something, and Smee, which was a 3/3 that quest for 2, but it got 1 damage each turn. This each turn if it was exerted. This doesn't have those drawbacks. The only drawback is that it's uninkable, but it's like a 2 cost uninkable, so the likelihood of it getting stuck in your hand, you can't play it, very, very low. So kind of power creep, I would say. Very annoying card also. Okay, next one is Bronx, Ferocious Beast. 3 cost inkable card, 6/4. So a big boy. If we compare it to like Maui, Hero to All was a 5 cost, 6/5. And let's see, other usually when we get a buff character in Ruby, it has a lot of strength and not a lot of willpower. So we'll see stuff like, I think there's a Maui bird, Maui hawk, big eel, big hawk, giant hawk, I think is what it's called. That's like a 5/3 or 5/2 or something. So to be 6 strength, I think is not unusual for Ruby, but to also have 4 willpower is pretty buff. And this character has Reckless, so does not quest and must challenge if able, and also has the normal Gargoyle Stone by Day. So the good thing about this card is if they play it on 3, usually they get like 1 use out of it, and then it can't ready because they have more than 3 cards in their hand. So it'll be a little bit before you have to worry about this card again, but it's a very big boy. The other Ruby card I've seen played is this Headless Horseman, Terror of Sleepy Hollow. So 5 cost uninkable card for 2. When you play this character, banish chosen opposing character with 2 strength or less is one of the abilities. And the other ability is during your turn, whenever an opposing character is banished, each of your characters gets +1 strength this turn. So you can really buff up all your other characters. And it quests for 2. I feel like when this has been played, usually the first ability comes more into effect. And because if they're playing this card, they're playing probably like Ruby and Amethyst together. The characters that they have on board are already very, very large. And so it often doesn't need the buff of gathering strength. So that is it for Ruby. For Sapphire, I've seen some of this Daisy Duck, usually in an Amber Sapphire deck. So they'll shift it onto the 1 cost Daisy. So this Daisy is 6 cost, inkable card 4/6, quest for 2, shifts on 4, has the ability Support, but also has the ability Strange Happenings. When this character is exerted, cards enter opponent's inkwells exerted. So basically, you are delaying your opponent's inking. So maybe they plan to play a 6 cost character and now they can only play a 5 cost character. And so you're kind of delaying what they can play, how much impact they can have each turn. And 4/6 is a pretty big body, especially if you can shift it on 4. Another card I'm seeing played in green-blue and blue-steel is the Cinderella Dream Come True. It is a ramp card, so 4 cost, uninkable, 2/3, quest for 1. Has the ability whatever you wish for. At the end of your turn, if you played a princess character this turn, you may put a card from your hand into your inkwell face down to draw a card. So this is a really good way to cycle through your cards. Basically, you're cycling through your cards as well as ramping. So you can ink a card and then hopefully trade it for a better card. So you don't even lose a card. The downside to this is you don't know if the card that you're drawing is going to be better than the card that you're inking. So sometimes it can be worse. You could, say, be inking like a jasmine, and then you're getting like a Tipo, or you're inking. I mean, you shouldn't be inking like big cards with this if possible, because you may always draw into something that's not as good. So I've seen this in a lot of decks now, maybe replacing the Pleakley, because when you could Pleakley a character, usually you ramped turn 2, so you're already at 3 ink to start the turn, and then you ink something else, you play Pleakley, and so then you would go to 6 ink by the next turn, but on that turn you actually had 4 ink already, so you could just play Cinderella. And of course she's a princess, so when you play her, you get to ramp that turn with her, so that gets you to 6. So you play her for 4, you ink for turn, and then you can ink with using her ability. And then the other one I've seen in Sapphire is this Judy Hopps Lead Detective. 6 cost inkable card, 6/4, so pretty big body. Quest for 2, shifts for 4, and has the ability Lateral Thinking. During your turn, your detective characters gain Alert and Resist +2. So remember, Alert means they can challenge as if they have Evasive. However, it does not let you activate Dumbo. And then Resist +2 is also pretty strong. Of course, this is only during your turn, so when it is your opponent's turn, it turns off. And then moving on to Steel. I've seen this card played, so Francine, Eyeing the Evidence. 3 cost, inkable card, 4/3, so pretty well statted. Quest for 1, and has Resist +1. So acting kind of like a 4/4 basically, which is a very good stat line for a 3 cost character. It also has a detective, so if you're playing it with that Judy Hopps, on your turn, she has Resist +3. 1 for her own resist, and then 2 from the Judy Hopps, because she's a detective. So that's like a 4/6. So really good for turn 3. The other card I've seen played a bunch is Goliath, Clan Leader, so another one of the Gargoyle cards. 6 cost, inkable card, 6/5, so big booty. Quest for 2. Has the usual Stone by Day gargoyle thing. Then also has Dusk to Dawn. At the end of each player's turn, if they have more than 2 cards in their hand, they choose and discard cards until they have 2. If they have fewer than 2 cards in their hand, they draw until they have 2. So if you have no cards in hand and you play this, it's kind of like playing a dock, but you don't get the cards until the end of your turn, so you can't really do anything with them this turn. But you'll have them for next turn, and then the same thing applies to your opponent. So really good if you play this and your opponent has a bunch of cards, and then they have to discard some of their cards. But also has the flip side of maybe your opponent doesn't have any cards and you're giving them cards each turn, and they just play out all their cards each turn, and you give them new ones each turn. But the body is pretty good for taking out some of those big buff characters this set. And then the last one I want to talk about in Steel is He Hurled His Thunderbolt. 4 cost, uninkable card. So it's action song, and it has deal 4 damage to chosen character. It also has like a secondary ability. Your deity characters gain Challenger +2 this turn. So this is similar to the card Along Came Zeus, which was also a 4 cost uninkable card. However, that one dealt 5 damage to chosen character. And that 1 damage does make a difference. I feel like a lot of cards this set, there are a lot that have 4 willpower, but then it always feels like whenever I have this card in my hand, I wish it had 5, because you don't often use the secondary ability. Your deity characters gain Challenger +2 this turn. So for example, in my deck, which is Blue Steel, I think one of the only characters that is a deity is Hades. So he becomes a 5/6 instead of a 3/6, and it's only for one turn. And so I would rather prefer to have the 5 damage of Along Came Zeus, but this is what we got. Some people have been calling this like Timu Zeus because it's like off-brand Along Came Zeus. But yeah, those are the cards. I have been seeing a lot of this pre-release so far that I think you guys should watch out for. All right, bye.